So this morning I've read most of the versions of the resurrection, and every version is a little bit different. John's version has him racing with Peter to the tomb, and often says, "I'm his favorite." And they get in there, and because Mary Magdalene had run back, and the other girls that had gone the morning and had the spices and stuff like that. Shabbat was over, and they could go into the tomb. And when they got there, it had been unsealed and it was rolled back, which is impossible, and the angels had come and rolled that back and had appeared. And the Roman guards fainted and freaked out and trembled and all of that when they saw the angels and them rolling back the stone. So, and Jesus, appeared to them and said that he has not gone to the Father yet. So all these things happen. And then you've got, a couple guys, mourning, and him appearing to them on the road, and them still having their eyes, with scales on them, not realizing where he's ministering to them. He's bringing up old Testament prophecy that he had to die and be raised again, and bringing back the scriptures and teaching them along the way, even going to eat with them and then breaking bread with them, and their eyes are opening. And Jesus appeared. The doors were locked. They were so scared, all the disciples and everything, thinking that the Roman soldiers or that they would come and arrest them and crucify them too. So we've got Jesus just walking through the door, and the doors are locked. And then, at one point Thomas was there, and Thomas didn't believe, even though Thomas was there when Lazarus was raised from the dead. And he's like, "Thomas, feel my wounds, and put your hand in my side." So he's a physical being. Yes, he's supernaturally going through the wall, but he's a physical being. He even eats fish with them, breaks bread with them. So he's tangible. But at the same time, he can appear and he can disappear, and he can walk through walls. And their eyes, and their minds are in complete disbelief, even though he's told them, "I will rise again on the third day." So Jesus at one point is walking along with these guys and teaching them about the scripture. So let's talk about one of the scriptures he might have taught them or reminded them of, which is Isaiah 53. And it says here, "The suffering and the glory of the servant. See, my servant will act wisely. He will be raised and lifted and highly exalted." So they're talking about Jesus here. And this is Old Testament, Isaiah 52. 53. "Just as there were many who were appalled at him, his appearance was so disfigured beyond that of any man, and his form marred beyond human likeness. And so will he sprinkle with many nations, and kings will shut their mouths because of him. For what they were not told, they will see, and what they have not heard, they will understand. Who has believed our message, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before him like a tender shoot, and like a root out of dry ground. He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire of him. He was despised and rejected by men, and a man of sorrows and familiar with suffering. Like one from whom men hide their faces, he was despised, and was esteemed him not. Surely he took up our infirmities and carried our sorrows. Yet we considered him stricken by God, smitten by him, and afflicted by God. But he was pierced for our transgressions." And we remember that the Roman soldiers pierced him. "He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us have turned our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of all. He was oppressed and afflicted, yet he did not open his mouth." And remember when they started afflicting him and mocking him and spitting on him, he said nothing. He was quiet like a sheep. He was led like a lamb to slaughter, and a sheep before the shears is silent, so he did not open his mouth. And we know that he was crucified at the same time that the sheep were slaughtered for Passover. By oppression and judgment he was taken away. And who can speak of his descendants? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgressions of my people he was stricken. He was assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death. And so we know that he had a death with the wicked. He was up there with the robbers and things, but yet he was taken down and went into Joseph of Arimathea, a rich man's unused tomb. So it says he was assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death. Though he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth, yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer, and through the Lord makes his life a guilt offering. He will see his offspring and prolong his days, and the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand. After the suffering of his soul, he will see the light of life and be satisfied. By his knowledge, my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities. So he bears our sins. This is Old Testament. This is Isaiah 53, years and years and years before Yeshua was crucified. Therefore, I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils of the strong, because he poured out his life unto death. He bore the sins of many and made intercessions for the transgressors. So that is really a powerful Old Testament foreshadowing, prophetic word by the prophet Isaiah. And I need to look up and see how many years this was, and tell y'all how many years it was before. So this is definitely prophetic. So we see that through Jesus's blood, the nations are cleansed, that our sins are removed, that he was beat, terrible, so disfigured, it says here, that he didn't even look like a human anymore. And that there wasn't anything like, he wasn't this like, beautiful human when he was down here that would make people drawn to him, like some sort of model or something. It wasn't like that. So it's kind of, he was rejected. He was rejected by his own people, many of them anyway. And obviously he was pierced. The Roman soldiers pierced him. And anyway, so yeah, so there's all these great stories of the resurrection and what they experienced, and his appearing and disappearing and eating food with them, and then appearing on the shores, and them still not recognizing him, and him helping them basically get the nets with the fish, and then eating breakfast with them. And then remember, Peter denied him 3 times. So at that particular thing, when they finally realized it was him, he asked Peter 3 times, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? Covering those 3 rejections before the crow, not the crow, the rooster crowed, 2 times in the morning. So it's just very, very powerful story, supernatural, and these kind of things can still happen today. So, a lot of people believe that Jesus could come back any moment. And the question is, are you ready, and do you realize what he's done for you? So I hope you have a blessed resurrection day. He has risen indeed.